Good morning. So I just had a drop off. I don't know if you can see it at the Fire Museum of New York. And I'm headed to my car so that we can have a conversation with Kalia. So let me get across the street. Hi guys. I'm going to my car so that I could be closed in. All right, I'm gonna add you, Kalia. Hey!
Hey, I'm here. I'm excited.
Good
I'm ready to
morning.
go. Good morning.
Well, I just got in my car because I had a delivery like 2 seconds ago. So hold on, let me get my little tripod and everything all together.
Yeah, take your time. The people that are here already, thank you. I want to say that. I also want to thank you for like the messages and the DMs and after the last live was really good, Oneida. Many
Yes.
people, yeah, commenting. But listen, I want to say just really quickly, like if you're planners and you're aspiring planners and you know other aspiring planners, let them know to jump on this live because I'm hoping to get into some stuff today. A little
Yes.
bit, I think that's what the part two was for, right? Like a little bit
Exactly.
deeper. Yeah. A little bit deeper. I got so many questions about pricing and what they should be charging, and I wasn't so surprised because I know that it is a pain point, but
Yes.
um, it was just so much of the same, question.
West.
And I
Yeah.
know that there's a lot of people in that space from planners, and maybe I'm sure you can speak to it from like the rental side, but I can speak very well to it from the planner side, like extremely well, extremely well, because it's an ongoing thing. So
Where do you want to start with? What's the you said pricing. What is like a question that was reiterated a lot?
oh God, so many. Like, it's really disheartening a lot of times that so many entrepreneurs like come into the space and planning space and want to just start. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
And don't take this, the wrong way, anybody that's listening or whatever, but you can't start at 10. You got to start at 1. That's them, like you
Right.
have to start at 1, just being realistic. So you have to be like realistic with things. It's almost like and this is a different type of industry, right? Like we're not doctors, like we're not lawyers. You don't have to go through 10 years of school for
Exactly.
it. However, there is a learning curve. Like, let's be
Yes.
real. There is a learning curve. Like this being such a visual business, and so many people are attracted to the visual of it, but the visual is the end result. The visual is the end. That's like the end of a long process. And not only with that party, but all of the parties before that, and that's really, it's like the end.
I will say this though, and I'm just thinking about the planners that I know.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a relationship, or relationships with companies or that upper echelon clientele that has money, discretionary money to spend, it's easier to go to 10 faster.
I would still say okay, so I agree with you if that is your goal, right? But if your goal is to actually have longevity in this business, there are things you need to learn before then, and it has nothing to do with the event. The event is like, don't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
it's
people,
true. It's true.
People email me and DM me about that all the time. Oh, let me help. And it's like, really what I need help with is systems and processes. And you know what I mean? Systems, processes, admin. That's what I need help with. It's not help me make this centerpiece pretty. I got Barbara's flowers for that. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's
and
like,
when I think about that, I think in business, that is the piece that jump started it so easily for me, because I had that logistics background and just the planning. Like, so it looks like it started off at 10, but it was like legit a year just doing the back room stuff, so to speak. So yeah,
Right.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
What are some of those skills though? Like I'm a paper person. Everybody is telling me you need an app for this and scheduling and things like that, but I legit put everything down in paper. So my calendar, my agenda is a huge thing, and knowing how to read my shorthand notes, I guess you could say. So that's one skill that you have to be very diligent in keeping, however you do it, keeping your calendar and things together.
Yeah, that and why can I like no longer see myself here? I'm sorry. I'm distracted. There I go. Okay. I'm distracted. But so I mean, yeah, okay, paperwork. Yeah, paperwork and things like that. Like, so we all know from the last live, like, that Kalia don't do paperwork, right? Like, just so nobody's confused, I don't do paperwork. Yeah, so that's a pain point. So when you say you don't need an app, because that's like one of your superpowers, you know, and like, and you have like that great, you know, like kind of business mind or whatever that you came into it with. I don't have that. And that's really, that's what I want. So you could speak to those other, you know, extraordinary people, and I'll speak down here to people like me, because I honestly, when I first started, it was because I was just drawn to like kids design, right? That's my aesthetic. That's what I'm good at. I know how to, you know, and I didn't know that I had this or whatever, but I know how to have, you know, people make fun, or kids have fun, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. What I did not know, and what I try to tell everybody who asks me about starting in this business, is that the business stuff is more than the creative stuff. You're going to get into it, and you're going to need to know all the stuff that Oneida is talking about, all her paperwork and stuff that she knows how to do. You're going to need to know how to do that, right?
Or you're going to spend money to have
or you're going to spend money to have somebody do it for you. Exactly. So paperwork, you know, tax stuff or whatever. But let's talk about, like, you know, getting clients. How do you, this is like, if I had to pinpoint the number one thing people ask me is, how do you get your clients? Like, you know, like, I'm not doing anything different than you're going to have to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not doing anything that's top secret or special either.
I feel like people first have to start with, and we spoke about this a bit before, is who is your client? If you don't have like that rundown of who that person is, it's very hard to just like start fishing in the water for who you want.
That's so true. Even I won't say before that. Yeah, I will say before that though. So before that, right? And you might not even know that you're doing it, because I felt like when I was like, oh, who's my ideal client? I had kind of already gotten my feet wet with what my style was and what I want to provide. You know what I mean? Like, so it's that too. It's
so you have to be focused on what it is you want to do.
Yeah, you need to be focused on that first. Like, figure that part out first. And how do you do that, Kalia? Like, what am I supposed to do? You're supposed to do parties for friends and family, and you know what I mean? Like, somebody's having you know, your cousin is having a baby shower or whatever. Pick a section. Let her know, hey, I'm going to take over the dessert table, or I'm going to take over the drink bar, or let me just do the tables or whatever. And maybe they can put in, like, maybe they could put in an extra couple $100s to make it nice. Or how about this? How about you invest in yourself in that way, right? And you add that money in, and you trick out that part of the party, and you take the photos of that, and it has to be that. It has to be like, and then that's kind of how you find your footing with your design and your look and the things that you like to see, right? And then your client or clients will be attracted to that, right? And then this happens, that snowball kind of happens. You do that maybe 2 or 3 times.
And you have to be prepared for that snowball, because I feel like oftentimes we do things like that, and then your sister baby mother is calling you, and you're not ready. So if you're putting yourself out there, you got to be ready.
Girl, you have to be ready. What does it look like? Okay, so that's another thing though. So how do you be ready? What does your back end look like? Who's answering the phone? How are you answering it when
Yes.
the clients call? What are you saying to them? They want you to send over your packages. Do you have any packages? Do you know what's in the package? Do you know the price of the pack? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much work before what people are calling the work. Like, the work is not the party. The work is not the party.
And you know what I love now? When I was planning back in the day, what I used to do was really unethical, but I went to somebody that I liked. I'm planning a party. Can you send me your packages? Yeah. And I use that as a benchmark for, especially if somebody was like, that's the planner I wanted to be like. I use that as a benchmark for how to display whatever it is I was doing. And that gave me a starting point on, okay, I like this, I don't like that. And then I can tailor that part of my business to what I like.
You say that you were doing it unethically, but you weren't using that information unethically. You know what I mean? Like, it was just for you. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? So you can do that, because I know that there's like a secrecy around this pricing stuff and all of this, but it's not that. Like, if someone, came to me or DM'd me or emailed me and say, hey, how much do you charge? I don't mind telling you how much I charge. You're not taking anything from me.
Yeah.
And I am not.
But see, I think you and I are like, I don't even know what the word is I'm looking for, but it's a rarity for that to happen, because most vendors, they just don't want to do it. I don't know why.
I know. I don't know why.
They're like, what? They do not want to do it. And I feel like that's a disservice, because what happens is this person will then undercut you in the long run.
Yes.
Right?
So this is what happens. And I think that happens more, Oneida, let me know if you disagree. But I think that happens more maybe in the rental industry or something like that, where you have an actual tangible item, right?
Yes.
But even then, there will be inconsistencies in the service, right? So I want to talk about that too, like you being a service-based business. But when you talk about planning and planners, I don't think anybody can ever take my client from me, period. Because there is only one me. It doesn't matter what the end result looks like. I don't care if that party comes out looking amazing or whatever. You didn't do it the way I was going to do it. And you know what I mean?
It's not even you, it's branding. That's the whole thing about branding is you're looking for Kalia to be walking around in Target dollar section. That is who you look for when you're planning. Oh, I like that. Like, I know that she can capture this part of what I like. So that branding piece is you, and that is what you basically are buying when you use your services. And I think the same thing for Petite Seats. Like, I hope that it's you know who Oneida is. You see her quirkiness and my trying to pack my car like it's a circus show. So those are the things that you can speak. I swear to you, the last 3 parties I did,
girl,
that was a running joke. Like, how you gonna fit this in your car? So it's that personal connection you have.
It's definitely that. But I just wish that people would be more open about it, because it kills. It really, really, really just hurts the industry when people are confused about pricing. You look everywhere else in other industries, there are standards. There are standard pricing for everything.
Exactly.
There's a standard price in that industry. And you have to know when you go lower, you are undercutting and disserving the rest of your industry. And that is the truth, okay? Unless you're doing it, and I know that when you first start, that's kind of what you have to do. But I think that you need to be honest with the client. You need to, if the client is not like your friends and family or whatever, you have to be honest with them. And a lot of people don't want to seem like they're not an expert, and they think that that's how to get ahead. But that's actually really the wrong way to get ahead.
Explain that one. What do you mean by that?
So we're not, as planners anyway, we're kind of not allowed to be new, like we have to come in and pretend like we're going to be perfect and we're going to do everything that you asked us for perfectly, right? There's no room for error. There's no, you know what I mean? But you give yourself that space if you go in and you say, hey, I'm new, I'm looking to build a portfolio, I want to help you with your event, I am going to charge you something way less than anybody in this industry will ever charge you. You know what I mean? And kind of lower their expectation a little bit. You give yourself room to learn and grow, number one. And number two, you are being real with that client and letting them know, hey, any other planner is going to charge you, you know, X amount of dollars, $1,500, $1,800, $2,000. I'm coming in, I'm going to do it for $500 or $600. But I'm new. You know what I'm saying? Like there are more ways to get paid than just paper money. And I would say if you're only getting paid in paper money, then you're not getting what you need to get. You can, you know what I mean? You need to be learning. You need to be making a connection. You need to be getting a review, you know, all of these things. That's money. That's money. Pictures, that's currency. In this business, in this industry, that's currency. And and you can get paid in those things in the beginning. Because that helps you get to the next level. That's where people
is what you are creating, is what you're building.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I always say. And I'm just like, you don't really want to be in this industry if you're only willing to be paid cash money. You don't want to be here then, because that's not how you build in the beginning. I'm sorry. You start at the bottom, and there are other things that are more important than money. You can't come out the gate.
But I feel like that's even as a seasoned professional, those are the things, those are the relationships, those are the vendor relationships, and I'm sure we're gonna bring that into in the conversation. But like,
talk about
you gotta do some bartering.
Right. I would love to barter. Like, hello, admin people, get at me. I will give your baby a party. Help me with this month's paperwork.
There you are.
Do that for me. Like it's whatever is worth to you, you know. Your referral is money. That's currency.
And how do you almost like automate that? Because not everyone, you have to ask for some things from your clients. So if you're not asking for a referral, you're not going to get it.
You're not ever going to get it.
It's like having a little card, like a punch card. You have to be purposeful in how you go about getting that.
So listen, that's part of the work that you do in the beginning, right? So this is the mistake that I made when I started, was I didn't know shit about shit, right? And I think most people start like that. I didn't know shit about shit. I just was like, all right, like, let me just do this business or whatever. And I thought like everybody else thought. And that's the only reason why I'm saying all of this today, is like, just don't do that. Because when I started, I planned for a small business. You know what I'm saying? Not even a small business. I planned for just me to just be slinging parties. And I didn't think about it like bigger. And as a result of that, I didn't have the systems in place. When people started to like my work, I was blown away. I'm like, why are y'all calling me? Like, I don't know what, you know, I don't have anything to give you. I don't even know how to make anything to give you. I'm not really sure what a pricing list is, but hold up, let me figure it out. Like, you know, I don't have any packages or anything. When the party is over, I didn't have like any kind of client retention stuff in place. I wasn't asking any questions. Feedback. I wasn't asking for I didn't know any of I didn't ask for referrals. I didn't ask for anything at all, because I wasn't planning to be, you know, popular, or I wasn't even planning for people to like, you know, really pay me, or didn't even really know what that looked like. And so now that the industry is a little bit more established, I would say just get all of that stuff up front and plan for it to be like a year learning curve. Like, take that first year in business and really learn.
And intern with people. I mean, like what you said about the whole not being just there to, you know, arrange a centerpiece or a flower or something, but interning with somebody that you admire. Everybody wants to be labor. And during that process, you learn a lot.
Yes, you should shadow, like as a planner or even as a rental, you know, person. You need to shadow. You need to job shadow somebody that's actually doing what you say that you want to do, because you probably don't really want to do it. If you really see,
well, when you realize how much work it is,
if you really see like the day to day, or if you can intern and let's say like, don't just go with Oneida on her deliveries. You know what I mean? Like that's the end result. Go to her house and see her kids running around.
Or you're talking to a person and it takes you 15 emails to get 10 chairs. Yes, right? So like, when are you going to cut that off? So
right. Right. When are you going to cut that off? And when are you going to say no is a no? And when are you going to, you know, all of those things matter. And I just feel like, gosh, like if we just stop trying to start fast, then we could really like build something, you know, and support someone else's business, like in the interim too, by hooking up with new and up and coming people too, like a new and up and coming photographer, a new and up and coming, you know, rental person. Make those relationships and say, hey, I'm new too, and grow together. And grow together.
And that is a huge, like where I'm at right now in my business, year almost 5, that's a huge thing for me, is those relationships, because I got into a point where I'm not really buying any more inventory. Say it's like a ghost chair. I have maybe 30. There always somebody that needs 50 or something like that. I'm not gonna buy any chairs. So having those relationships with other people basically will break a sale.
That's true.
I wanted to jump in with, you're starting your business. You've decided you're going to start. How important is it to focus on one thing, like having a niche? Like we're in kids' parties. Sure, I have like 14 adult chairs, but I often see people start with something like candy displays, and then you look at their page and they got candy displays, they have backdrops, they take pictures. So how important is it to focus on one thing?
I would say, as y'all know I'm a Virgo, right? I said this last time. I just feel like, you know what, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to really be able to look at your product and not so much compare it to other people, but just really see, like, did you do that well? Could it have been better? How does it look? How does it, if you were somebody, would you want to buy that from you or use that from you or rent that from you? I would say start with something small. Start with one thing. And okay, Virgo, yes. But start with that and do it well before you offer something else. Do it well. Not do it well just for you and your standards. Do it. You know what I mean? Like, do it. I feel, oh my God, there's so many people offering things that I'm just like, man, if you had made that just, you know, if you had just, you know, made it all white or made it, you know, whatever, like, do it. Like, fully do it, fully offer it, make it clean, make it nice, make it beautiful, make your social media pop like this, make your pictures like that, and then move on. And then move on. That's all you have to do. Do it well.
Exactly. And like, for instance, I'm always looking at podcasts and things like that. And one piece of advice that I listened to was that if you're thinking about your business in terms of quarters, so every 3 months you're doing something, it's almost like short-term goal setting per quarter. So if you're going to have, like you said, doing the paperwork, that's a Q1 goal. So that's the only new thing you're going to do for your business that quarter. So don't try to do 5 things at one time, because you're going to fall short. So staying focused and keeping it simple to one strategy per quarter will be a good goal to set if you're starting new.
Yeah. See how your brain works, Oneida? You're so smart. Like, Oneida uses words like quarter. And
no, because you know what? I had to think that way
every 4 months. Taxes. Every 3 months.
Well, you know, I'm a math teacher, girl, so you know that's how it is. It's you have to think about it because it goes fast. So if you're thinking, okay, this quarter is what, January, February, March. So we're halfway through this first quarter and you ain't did shit yet. So like, you got to think about it in terms of those 12 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I break down my goals like that.
Yes.
every year by quarter. And then I take the quarters and break them down monthly. And then I take it and break it down weekly, because I want to make sure that I'm making progress on the things that I say that I want to do.
Indeed.
I feel like if you're new, if you're coming into this business, if you're old and you're already in this business and you feeling like stagnant, that's a good way to do it. Like, hold yourself accountable, period. Take one
Mm-hmm.
thing and say, I'm going to do this one thing. Maybe it's, building an email list. Maybe it is, doing one party, like trying to get one
Exactly.
paid client. That first paid client is so damn hard. Oh my God. That first, but you know what? And then set your goals. Like, what do you think needs to happen in order to put that one thing in place, and do that one thing and do it. And I think that when we're in the creative industry, all of these ideas come to you so fast, and partly because of social media, and you see everybody else doing it, and it's like, oh, I could do it too. But I urge you to do what you do well. Do that one thing well before you to adding
and you
something.
have to unplug. You really have to unplug from social media when you're growing.
Okay.
You have to, because it's like information overload, and you can't process and think as you're also looking at what someone else is doing.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It was something else I wanted to say. Oh, so the conversation, what you just mentioned about if you're almost like you've been in the industry for a while and you need something to revamp yourself. How important it is, and I know you and I had this conversation before, how important is it for your client to see, or prospective clients to see you as the business owner doing business stuff?
Oh, I don't really know, because you know what? I'm not really great at showing that.
Right.
I'm like just starting to try to get out there, show my face more this year, because my philosophy the entire time that I've been in business is head down and work. Like, that's my thing. That's what I say. I say it to my friends. I say, you know what I mean? Like, Kalia's phone don't turn on until 2 p.m.
Right.
Like that, like head down and work. That's how I get my stuff done. However, I think now that, like you said earlier, you kind of are the brand, or you are the brand, or maybe you want to be the brand. You know what I mean? Like, people do have to have that know, like, trust, factor in order for you to kind of clinch the client at times. It's like, oh, now I trust you a little bit more, because you're not hiding in any surface. You can't steal anything from me. You can't take anything from me. You can't undeliver because, or, because you're on social media, all of the platforms. I see your face. You know what I mean? I know, your email, and I can text you and, all of these things, but I've seen you though. And I can say, hey, that girl right there, So I think that it's important, because that's what people need a lot of times, more so than, and unless we're really talking about real brand building, I think more so than any other industry, I would say, as a planner, you have to kind of show your face, because we need that know, like, trust more than anybody. It's one of those fields that people are still like kind of fraudulent in at times.
Indeed.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have those people that are like, oh, she ran off and she took my money or whatever. I worked with somebody recently over the summer that was like, gun shy, because someone, took her money and didn't give her anything that she asked for. And it's just like,
wow.
And it was thousands. It wasn't hundreds. It was thousands. And she was
my goodness.
like, I'm not sure. But I'm like, listen, and not that I was trying to convince her, because I don't try to convince people to work with me. I really, truly don't care. Because I know what's for me is for me. But I'm just telling her, like, listen, I have a body of work. You can go look at it. You know what I mean? You can go look at it. You can, I'm active on social media up to the date, or at least up to the month that we're talking. You know what I mean? So I'm not hiding anywhere, and I'm certainly not under delivering. But if I do, I've made it right with that person. You know what I mean? So they don't try to come after me.
I used to be like the Instagram police when it came to people reposting events that I've posted on my page.
Yeah, I hate
and
that.
I came to the realization, like everyone says to, what is it called? Tag your pictures and things like that, or put your logo on it. But then I realized as a new business person, and I'm thinking